Hello and welcome back, Informers. We are going to be starting off a new line of shows today, and how about that intro? I couldn't wait for the 50 subs. I had to just do it because I thought it was really exciting, and I really enjoyed that intro. We're going to be playing with a couple different other intros as well for some of our videos, but that's the intro that I decided on for now. So it's pretty cool. Tell me how you like it in the comments, and it is new to the channel, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see what you all think. But back to the point of today's show, we are starting a new line of shows. Basically, it's going to involve possible use cases for different types of digital assets. So the plan currently is to, for this set of shows, is to pick a different asset every week. Maybe 2 weeks. We'll see how much research that I'm able to get done in between everything else that we're doing. But basically, we're going to pick an asset every week and look over the real world applications of that asset, not only from an investor standpoint, but from an outsider looking in on the asset for the first time. Which is really important when you're doing your research looking at these assets. You know, you want to know what they do. You don't just go, oh, hey, this name's cool, we're going to go with it. No, you want to know that it's actually doing something in the real world and being a productive, creation of society. So for all of you that don't know, I'm the Digital Asset Informer, and to kick off this series, we're going to start off with Holochain. So first, I kind of wanted to give you a little background on the Holochain network. It was created to be an ecosystem of decentralized apps with the ability of being decentralized with little to no bottlenecks, basically no bottlenecks, and the ability to be adaptable, have adaptable validations, and no centralized servers, no ledgers, with an agent-centric individual authority over data sharing and access and storage. And just by hearing that, you can probably tell, if you've looked into the crypto world at all, that Holochain is not a blockchain, which is really important to discern. Holochain is supposed to be what comes after blockchain. And Holochain is out there. They're trying to help people own their own data, have control over it, and have a digital identity with applications that are connected in the ability to suit a person's needs, and have transactions without centralized systems, and be able to give developers a way to build lighter, faster, cheaper applications. And with these fantastic and compelling goals, there's really quite a few use cases for Holochain. They're really pretty impressive. It kind of shocks me a little bit. So first, what I'm going to show you is that of a supply chain produce token, which is an agricultural supply chain, decided that blockchains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum weren't really suitable for solutions for their needs, and that was mainly due to volatility. And as we've seen over the past few years from watching the market, volatility is very high, especially with those two, but with a lot of others too. And that doesn't make good value for a company who needs a steady market. Today's small town supplier can't suffer a catastrophic drop in price. If they are making deals with digital assets, they need to have some assurance that the market's going to be steady, that it's not all of a sudden going to drop out from under them. And this is where Holo is really going to shine. So let's think of cryptocurrency as more of a forward contract. And as an example, you have a farmer who grows wheat. And so that farmer grows the wheat and then gives it to a processor who turns the wheat into a grain. And that grain processor then sells, that grain to put products on your table, such as bread. Now, a forward contract would be basically an agreement between that wheat farmer and a grain processor for the sale of a farmer's crop. And the idea being that the farmer could mint a currency which would basically be more like a receipt for a future delivery of a shipment of wheat at a specified price on a certain date. And this makes that currency backed by a real-world asset. The example here being food. And with this backing, buy an asset with an actual retail value, because I can go to my local store and buy bread for anywhere between $1 and $3, depending on the type of bread and stuff like that. But it makes it more stable than a blockchain-based token. And to go on top of that, unlike a blockchain, Holo is agent-centric, with each user having their own hash chain of data. So with our example above, both parties basically will countersign with cryptographic keys, and then they're able to be validated by peers in that distributed hash table. So this allows transparency, it allows accountability, but it doesn't have all those inefficiencies of needing to go through an entire ledger, which, as we see definitely with Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're huge. Their ledgers are ginormous, which takes time, which is where you get your bottlenecking from. So with our next case, it's something that's really exceptionally controversial right now, at least in the USA. And that would be identity statuses of some refugees. And so when we think of refugees, what do we think about? We think about people carrying, what's on their backs and being moved from one place to another, not necessarily by choice. And a lot of refugees are moved without the choice by, let's say, we're going to use the example of war, because that seems to be a very hot issue with refugees right now. A war breaks out, and then people want to get away from that, and they're forced to move towards another country. Now, especially for refugees that are, say, in a war zone, they might not have time to grab things like photo IDs, papers declaring, where they're from, such as a passport. Hell, some people don't even have a passport. I personally do not have a passport. I am way too broke to leave my country, so if I had to forcibly leave my country, this is where I would be. I have no passport. But what if you had a digital fingerprint? A digital ID that was created with data ownership in mind, that can be accessible from anywhere that can access the web. Well, this digital identifier, it could help refugees or even ordinary citizens, from needing that identity. And because that you are James M, but everybody else doesn't know that. So having a decentralized source chain that is created for your identity could be a very valuable asset when it comes to refugee crises. So you have a digital ID. Okay, let's say, for instance, you have the digital ID. You go to a border of a country you wish to enter, and instead of giving them a passport, you give them your digital ID. They go ahead and start the investigation. Entries are cryptographically countersigned by places like your current government, and a digital history is created for the individual whose data is stored on that private source chain. So they investigate your schooling and classes and grades. And again, this time entry is cryptographically signed by your school and put into a source chain. The same with health records. And after all of that, let me remind you, this is all digital work. So instead of paperwork and instead of making phone calls, this is digital work. So instead, you are taking a vetting process that could take months, weeks, in some cases even years, and you are taking that process and cutting down the work astronomically by making it all digital, which cuts these vetting processes down to, theoretically, you could have it done in days or hours or, even a week or so. And that's really impressive for what's needed when it comes to being a refugee. And this can work in a lot of other cases too, just having that digital ID for you. So there's a lot of cases when it comes to digital IDs that are really great uses. So I think it'll be really interesting to see where that goes with the Holochain network. I think that it's something that is desperately needed in this day and age. I think we're outdated when it comes to IDs. So my last use case that I'd like to share with you is a little less dramatic than immigration and refugee statuses, but my last use case is that of social media. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, all of those with totals of billions of users. But those users are not using the social platforms to learn more about Facebook or to learn more about Twitter or to learn more about Instagram. They are there to share with family and friends and maybe meet somebody. And the problem with a data-centric, centralized application is you lose a lot of things. So you have issues with censorship, you have privacy issues. Facebook knows everything that you've ever put on there. And yes, I have a Facebook, but that still isn't the fact that I have no privacy. I can't have a conversation with anybody without Facebook having control of it. And you don't really control any of your own data. You've seen the targeted ads on Facebook. You talk about something and it pops up in an ad a week later. So what I'd like to introduce you to is Junto. And they are building on the Holochain network a new form of social media where the users own their own data. They won't track and they won't sell your information. And that makes Juno a more private, secure, and censorship-resistant social web. And the internet, at its core value, is really to have humans communicate and share with other humans. Now, let's replace the word human in that and put agents. The internet, at its core, is agents communicating and sharing with other agents. And with that, you have the Holochain network. And Holo is truly a human agent-centric network. And this will put tomorrow's social media to the test. It's going to show how we get our food. It's going to change our global economy with such a simple and powerful idea. And that is Holo. So thank you very much, Informers. I really hope you enjoyed my first real-world use case file for Holochain. And this is going to be the start of a new series of shows that we're going to have on the channel, and I really hope that you like it. Please let me know what you think of this. Leave a comment down below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video along with all the other videos on my channel. And I really appreciate your guys' support. It's going to be an interesting July, and I'm really looking forward to our next episode of this. So until next time, as always, I'm your digital asset informer.